Nothing too new to speak of. We did some good things the other day. Third down on offense, running the ball, obviously. The score before halftime, and then at the end to do what we needed to do to pull away. And then, defensively, just our second down efficiency was really good. Sudden change defense off that turnover, held them to 3, 2-point stop to win the game. So did some good things, kickoff return on special teams, onside kick recovery there at the end with TK. So those were good. We still got a lot to work on. Certainly we had a turnover and a fumble. Red zone, we got to be better on offense. Defense, though we were good first, second down, third down, we got to get off the field. We had opportunities, no turnovers on defense. And then special teams, we had a penalty, and our punt return units got to get better. But all in all, it was pretty good. I thought the whole O-line played well. Skipper and Stimberg, Evan, Kramer, Nelson did a good job. TK did a good job. Zylstra, Jackson, and Craig. Defensively, AB, Juju Hughes, I thought did good. Board, JD, and that D-line, I thought they showed up. Bugs and the commish, Banks, talked about AB, sawed off, and Savion did some good things. Special teams, there was a number of guys. Fox, I thought, punted the ball really well. Zylstra was good on special teams. Board was good. Price, Rodrigo, Alexander certainly on the returns, and then I thought Barnes did some good things on special teams. So that was kind of just a recap of the game. Today we get more. The starters are going to get the work, since they didn't play in the game. So it'll be quick. It'll be about an hour, but just kind of get our legs back under us, and then we'll have a night practice tomorrow night here, and it'll be full pads, and we'll go at it. Detroit versus Detroit.
Games to watch now. What have you thought about the offensive play calling so far? I mean, you've been obviously haven't been an offensive coordinator, but you were interviewed for other jobs in the past, so you probably can relate to maybe the mindset of what Ben is going through. But just from seeing a couple of games, like, what have you thought about that? And are you feel like even who calls plays, is that overblown at all?
Yeah, no, I think Ben's done a heck of a job. I've been very pleased, and there again, we're not into true game planning right now, so we're kind of running some things that we feel comfortable with right now, and just doing, really tinkering a little bit with what we feel like we can do, or hopefully we can do, but I think Ben has done an excellent job, and it was, we certainly want more explosive plays than we had, but we did have those game one, and so more of the emphasis here was to run the ball against this opponent. So I think he's done a heck of a job.
Dan, one thing about your running game, you got a bunch of guys who got quite a bit of starting time last year. How much is that depth of your offensive line now? You're benefiting from that work they got last year.
Yeah, well, it's that is one of the benefits of having some of the injuries we had, is that Evan Brown gets a load, Nelson gets a load, Kramer gets a load, and now you're seeing those guys. They're better players this year than they were last year, because they have a lot of experience under their belt, a lot more for sure. So you got to have depth in this league to survive, and so that's pretty good.
Imagine the starters getting a little bit more work today. When do you start formulating the usage plan for that third preseason game?
Yeah, are you saying when will we do it?
Yeah, when do you determine how much the starters are going to play, if at all, for that game?
Yeah, we've already talked about it. I know the starters will play. I don't see Goff playing, and he's not going to talk me into it. I told him that this morning, so he'll know my conviction. But I do see the starters playing, and we'll see where it goes. They need to be prepared for a half, I told them, and so I know their guys are playing about a half. I talked to Coach Tomlin, so this will be really good for us. This will be really good. I have a lot of respect for Coach Tomlin and what they do and what they've done for years. One of the most consistent teams, winning teams in this league for a number of years, certainly since he's been there. So we know what they're about. They're a tough group, and So this will be a great test for us.
That's a little different than what you did last year. I don't think you played starters in week 3
We didn't.
of the preseason. Why make the change, I guess, or what did you learn from
Well,
that?
we tried a couple of things last year. I wanted to tinker a little bit, see if we could get it in practice, and it's good in theory. But we had a number of injuries in camp, and now you're spread thin throughout the whole roster, and it makes it hard. And so I just felt like this was the way to go this year. And there again, they didn't play last week. They got 2 good days against that, against the Colts, and so now we get a good week of work and then go out there and go against those guys.
Ties in with that, and I don't mean to jinx you, but injury-wise, you guys have been relatively healthy so far. You talked, I think it was the first day of pads, about studies showing like the more physical you practice, how it helps you in that regard. Can you just explain that a little bit, like how the physicality in practice maybe has helped you stay relatively healthy for this?
Well, I think it's you think about everything that the tendons and the joints and the muscles go through on impact, and to be able to, the body is highly adaptable if you do it the right way. But if you don't put them under that stress, and you're not getting that intensity and really some of those collisions, and you're getting 20 of those in practice, and then you go out and play 75 plays. I mean, you can only imagine how much more intense it is. So, you're setting them up for, and that doesn't mean it's, certainly it's not fireproof, but, you play the odds, you do the best you can with what you've got in front of you. But I think as long as this game still has pads, you have to do some of that. You have to get them prepared.
What have you seen over the last few weeks that has given you more hope that this season will be what you hope it is?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're a more talented unit. I think the guys that are here that were here last year certainly were very young. They're a year older. They're more experienced. They understand what we're about as coaches and as a, just our philosophy as a team. And so I think you're not starting from the ground up. They know what we expect, and we bring in guys that are, I've said it before, that believe in what we believe in. They love ball. They love to compete. And I just feel like we're a year ahead. We're into the system with AG, what he's got. And they know how he thinks. And Ben, we've done so many things to tailor to our players, the quarterback, Amon-Ra, Swift, Hawk. I mean, we just and Reynolds, and then to be able to get Shark and have feel like we have the ability to stretch the field with what we've got on offense, and then just knowing we did a good job in special teams last year, which you got to have good core players too. I think Dave Phipp is as good as they come as a coach, but you got to have some guys that's kind of what they do. You can't just have a bunch of backups who they may be the next guy in on offense or defense, but they can't play special teams because you won't ever be good in special teams. So we look at that too.
To build off that, Cut Week is coming up. What is the difference this year versus last year?
Tough. It's going to be tough. It's going to be very difficult. And there again, I think it just goes to show, what Brad's done. That's a credit to him. The talent that he's brought in, and we're a lot farther ahead than we were last year. And I bring this up. Yeah, it's one thing to bring in to have more talent, but that talent makes the talent around it better. And so that's the other thing. You kind of get an uptick there because you're going against each other on a daily basis. And so when you have better talent, it makes the other talent better, and then it's highly competitive, and you make bigger strides.
Do you feel like at this point you're the leader for the backup quarterback position after the second preseason game?
No, I think it's neck and neck.
Like building what Tony was just asking, you've got, I think, 6 practices here, and the game really is your last stretch of evaluation. How many approximately roster spots are in flux in your mind?
Oh man, Justin, that's a tough one. Golly. I don't know if I gave you an answer if I would be correct. There's 8 to 10, somewhere in there probably. It's it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough deal this year.
Dan, you'll start with the ones on Sunday?
Do you know which quarterback you'll start with, the ones on Sunday?
We're debating that back and forth. I would say Tim Bull right now, but we'll see where we go with it.
Just tomorrow's cuts, would you have 5 players on NFI and PUP right now? Do you even have to make a move? I mean, are those guys?
We wouldn't have that yet, and Brad and I are still discussing. I think there's a good chance we'll have some of those, maybe 3 out of the 5 or somewhere in there, and then you still got a couple of moves to make. But we're going back and forth, and so much of it is, when do we think some of those players will be ready? Week 2. I mean, you do that, then you lose them for the first 4 weeks of the season, which that's okay. But yet, if we think somebody will be ready to practice, for example, Jerry, let's say week 1, but he won't be ready to play for a bit, 2 or 3 more weeks or something, then you want to get him practice time. He needs practice, once everything's right. And so we're kind of gauging that right now.
To start the year?
Could be 1, could be 5, could be, so.
And then just
How many questions you getting, Dave? No, go ahead.
But just the Met practice, is there any reason for tomorrow? Because we don't get you tomorrow. What's the reason?
Just to change it up. We're in the 4th week of training camp, and so I think to those guys to be, you're not under the lights, but yet, the sun's going down a little bit, and it's a change up. I always, as a player, enjoyed night practice, and everybody I was ever around did. And so I think it'll be good. We'll be full pads. It'll be, we'll be going. And it's really going to be our last really good Detroit versus Detroit practice we're going to have for camp.
That's it.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.